Imagine trekking through the scorching sands of the Sahara, only to stumble upon a hidden gateway leading to an abandoned city of untold treasures, like something out of a Hollywood blockbuster, right? But what if this mythical place, called Zerzura, might actually exist? Could it be a secret Crusader refuge, a sister city to Ubar, or the key to an uncracked code that's baffled scholars for centuries? Somewhere between the Kufra oasis and the Gilf Kabir plateau lies a mystery that stumped explorers and historians alike. And more importantly, would you dare to enter? Buckle up, because the story you're about to hear could rival any true crime thriller, complete with legendary guardians, buried secrets, and treasure hunts that end in more questions than answers. Today, we're unraveling the Zerzura myth, a fabled city of birds whispered about in Bedouin folklore for centuries. But this isn't just a dusty rumor. Real explorers, people like Ralph A. Bagnold and Laszlo Almasi, led expeditions into the desert, convinced they could find tangible proof of this lost city. So, where exactly is Zerzura said to be? According to some early explorers, Zerzura might lie in the far reaches of the Libyan desert, somewhere in southwestern Egypt, possibly extending toward Libya or even near Sudan's border. But does any map show it clearly? Absolutely not. Why? Maybe because it's been intentionally hidden, or simply a legend spun out of centuries of desert lore, and that's exactly what we're here to uncover. Before we venture further, have you ever heard of Zerzura or any other lost cities? Before we get lost in the sands of Zerzura, could you do me a quick favor? If you're enjoying the story so far, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps this new channel stand out and reach more curious minds out there. Thanks a million. Stories of Zerzura stretch back hundreds of years. According to Arab manuscripts from the Middle Ages, Zerzura was described as a white city, guarded by giants or supernatural beings. Some tales mention a hidden entrance flanked by a carved bird insignia, while others speak of a grand treasure trove, waiting for a fearless adventurer to claim it. But can there be any truth to these whispers? And let's be honest, who hasn't daydreamed about stumbling upon a real-life Atlantis, only with fewer mermaids and more camels? Now let's spotlight some of the trailblazers who went looking for Zerzura, names like Ralph A. Bagnold, the man who revolutionized desert navigation with the invention of the Bagnold sun compass, and Laszlo Almasi, whose daring expeditions through the Sahara became the inspiration for the novel and film The English Patient. These explorers weren't daydreamers, they were serious adventurers using state-of-the-art gear for the time. But did their grit and pioneering techniques uncover solid evidence of Zerzura? In Almasi's case, he did stumble upon remote valleys and prehistoric cave paintings in the Gilf Kabir plateau, an incredible find. Did that discovery bring him any closer to Zerzura's gates, or did it only deepen the enigma? Here's a secret you might not know. Some explorers reported hearing local tribes refer to a place called Zerzura, described as a paradise among dunes. But cryptic directions like north of Kufra, 3 days by camel, weren't exactly GPS coordinates. So, how close did they really get? And let's not forget, deserts are notoriously good at hiding things, whether it's dinosaur bones, undiscovered tombs, or who knows, a mythical city. Which brings us to an age-old question. If Zerzura does exist, why has no one claimed the treasure? Could it be guarded by something or someone? If you thought a wandering camel could spark an epic myth, wait until you hear about the man who survived a raging sandstorm and claimed to have lived among the legendary residents of Zerzura itself. Could an ancient ring, a secretive escape, and an emir's blind trust illuminate the truth behind this white city? Or is it just another mirage in the shifting sands? In the late 15th century, a camel driver named Hamid Keila limped into Benghazi with an astonishing story. He claimed that after a deadly sandstorm had wiped out his caravan, he was rescued by tall, fair-haired men wielding straight swords, definitely not your typical desert scimitars. These mysterious strangers escorted him to a hidden paradise known as Zerzura. Keila described Zerzura as a dazzling white city tucked between two mountains, accessible via a winding wadi. Its gates boasted a carved bird emblem, an image eerily similar to legends from the Kitab al-Kanuz. But if you think that's strange, he also said the residents, called the El Suri, spoke a curious dialect, wore no veils, and seemingly had no mosques or calls to prayer. Were they some offshoot of medieval Crusaders lost in the Sahara, or perhaps a completely unknown desert people? Despite their hospitality, Keila claimed he escaped the city by night. But if Zerzura was so benevolent, why flee at all? That question so unnerved Benghazi's emir that he had Keila searched, discovering a precious ruby ring hidden away. What would you do if you believed your subject had stolen from an enchanted city? In this case, the emir had Keila's hands cut off. Grim. Yet the emir believed the legend enough to launch a search for Zerzura himself, with no luck. If you're as stunned by this tale as we are, share it in the comments. Do you think Keila's ring was genuine proof or a convenient prop for a tall tale? So what happened to this so-called Zerzura ring? Rumor says it was passed down through Libyan royalty and even examined by experts who linked it to 12th century European craftsmanship. But here's the catch. No official records of this ring exist today. Could it have vanished during the 1969 overthrow of King Idris by Muammar al-Gaddafi? Or was the ring just a fictional relic, created to embroider Keila's mesmerizing story? Interestingly, Keila's tale from 1481 lines up with references in the Kitab al-Kanus, the very manuscript that describes a city guarded by black giants and a sleeping king. Could Hamid Keila be the anonymous author who penned down these clues? Or are these just coincidences layered onto centuries of evolving folklore? Time for your input. What do you think? Was Keila weaving fact, fantasy, or a blend of both? Let us know, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you crave more hidden desert sagas. Before we wrap up our search for Zerzura, there's one final piece of the puzzle that deserves attention. Ever hear the rumor that someone stumbled upon this fabled oasis while chasing a lost camel? It sounds unbelievable, but according to 19th century accounts, that's exactly what sparked renewed interest in this white city deep in the Libyan desert. In 1835, English Egyptologist John Gardner Wilkinson encountered an Arab traveler's story. The man insisted he had found an oasis, teeming with palm trees and springs. While searching for his missing camel, he called it Wadi Zerzura. Unlikely? Absolutely. But what if that chance discovery was the first genuine reference to Zerzura outside of centuries-old folklore? Wilkinson's story galvanized European explorers, particularly after new, smaller oases he mentioned were actually found. Yet Zerzura remained elusive. Fast forward to the early 20th century, when adventurers like Ralph A. Bagnold and Laszlo Almasi set off in cutting-edge Ford Model A trucks. Their mission? Find the city that had evaded discovery for centuries. Intrigued by these persistent rumors? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do lost camels often lead to life-changing finds, or is this just a quirky footnote in desert lore? Here's a twist you don't see every day. When the 1930 expedition ended, having found some hidden valleys but not the city itself, its members decided to form the Zerzura Club in a bar at Wadi Halfa. Now, most clubs require a membership fee, but for these explorers, perhaps the price was years of trudging through Sahara dunes. As if chasing legend wasn't enough, these same individuals later served in pivotal roles during World War II, except for Almasi, who famously fought on the opposing side under Rommel's command. Talk about your desert alliances and rivalries. While Almasi did discover hidden wadis, those lush rain oases tucked away in the Gilf Kabir Plateau, he never found an actual walled city with treasure. Bagnold, meanwhile, walked away believing Zerzura might remain just a myth. Could their conclusions mean the legend is finished, or is the real Zerzura still out there, waiting for the next daring soul? After all, if a lost camel could spark a hunt that's lasted centuries, who knows what the next spark might be? Now let's dig into the leading theories behind the Zerzura myth. On one side we have the romantic notion, a literal lost city brimming with lost riches and supernatural guardians. On the other side, the pragmatic viewpoint, Zerzura might simply be an exaggeration of smaller oases, like remote desert water sources or caves. Still, there's the question, why do these tales persist? First, the hidden oasis theory. Some scholars suggest that travelers who stumbled upon lush pockets in the desert, like the Kufra oasis, then embellished these finds into tales of an entire city. Over time, stories evolve, right? Could that explain the phenomenon? Or is there something more? Next we have the explorer's hoax angle, where some claim that early explorers might have hyped up this legend to secure funding or fame. Let's face it, our mysterious city of gold is way more compelling than we're just going to map sand dunes. But did they manufacture the legend, or were they genuinely convinced of Zerzura's existence? Finally, the mystical guardian belief. And for the folklore enthusiasts, Zerzura remains hidden thanks to spiritual protectors, akin to jinn or guardians from Arabian Nights. That would certainly explain why no modern explorer has found definitive proof. Are we dealing with a mythic dimension that defies normal perception? Hearing these theories, which one resonates with you the most? Let us know down below, and if you're enjoying this deep dive, share it with a friend who loves a good mystery. Before we dive into these ideas, please keep in mind that everything in this next segment is purely speculative and reflects my personal theories. There's no confirmed evidence for these scenarios. Think of them more as imaginative what-if possibilities rather than historical fact. First up, could Zerzura be the final chapter in the Knights Templar saga? Think about it. Legends speak of tall, fair-haired guardians with straight swords, a hallmark of medieval European knights. And if a hidden Crusader enclave did survive in the Sahara, might they have brought something else with them? Say, an artifact of immeasurable value. That's right, I'm talking about Templar treasure. Remember the mysterious ruby ring that Hamid Keila supposedly stole? Could it be a relic looted during the Crusades, smuggled into this hidden city in the desert? If so, that would explain Keila's hasty escape from what he himself called paradise. Why walk away from limitless hospitality? Maybe because he took something he wasn't supposed to. But language may be an even bigger clue. Hamid described a strange form of Arabic, but what if it wasn't Arabic at all? Could it have been Hebrew spoken by a hidden Jewish community? Or perhaps Latin or a medieval Romance language kept alive by these Crusader holdouts? It wouldn't be the first time a group isolated itself and preserved a language that baffled outsiders. Who knows? Maybe that's why Keila struggled to understand them. Some words might have sounded a bit like Arabic, but were in fact a centuries-old Crusader dialect. If so, Zerzura could have been a linguistic time capsule hidden under desert sands. Let's zoom out and look even broader. Another fabled city, Ubar, sometimes called Iram of the Pillars, was said to flourish in the Arabian Peninsula. Could Zerzura and Ubar be linked as sister cities or even the same city, just misplaced on ancient maps? Both are legendary desert strongholds brimming with treasure, both vanished without a trace, and both remain unsolved riddles. Is it possible that one city's survivors migrated across the desert, founding the other? Or maybe they were part of a vast, forgotten desert empire stretching from Arabia to North Africa? That might explain why we see recurring themes of hidden wealth, exotic residents, and languages lost to time. If one was real, could the other be too? The sands of history might be hiding an entire civilization we've only glimpsed through rumor. Ever heard of the Voynich Manuscript? A baffling 15th century codex covered in undeciphered script and strange botanical illustrations. Some say it's pure hoax, but what if it's actually a remnant of Zerzura's long-lost language? The timeline lines up, give or take a few decades, and the city was rumored to host knowledge unknown to the outside world. Imagine a renegade crusader or desert scholar fleeing Zerzura with its greatest text, only for it to surface centuries later in Italy. A stretch, absolutely. But it's still more plausible than explaining away the Voynich as total nonsense. Could the key to deciphering that cryptic manuscript lie buried with Zerzura's secrets? Let me know your thoughts. Does this connect two of history's biggest mysteries? Or are we wandering too far into the realm of fantasy? And before we close this book of wild theories, let's not forget the fleeting mention of a Nazi angle. Rommel's forces, deep in the Libyan desert, guided by explorer Laszlo Almazi. Might they have poked around for Zerzura's fabled treasure, much like they did with Legends of Atlantis? If so, why is there no record? Perhaps it's locked away in secret vaults. Or maybe the rumored black statues standing guard over the white walls were something far more sinister, or simply an artistic contrast. Could their presence point to a darker social structure in Zerzura? Or were they literal obsidian carvings marking a forbidden gateway? The questions keep piling up, don't they? From Templar treasure and unknown dialects to sister cities and mysterious manuscripts, Zerzura's legend has sprouted countless theories, each more intriguing than the last. Which one resonates with you? Which one feels like total make-believe? Share your take in the comments, because the more eyes on this puzzle, the closer we might come to finally unearthing the truth behind the oasis of little birds. So, after centuries of desert treks, whispered legends and tantalizing clues, Zerzura remains, like a mirage, just out of reach. But is the city truly lost, or was it never there to begin with? That's the puzzle we wrestle with. In a world where we've mapped Everest's summit and the ocean's deepest trenches, it's both humbling and electrifying to think that somewhere in the vast Sahara, a legendary city might still be waiting to be discovered. Could this lead us to something even greater, perhaps a new chapter in history's greatest quest? If this journey intrigued you, tap that thumbs up. Have your own theories about the lost city of Zerzura. Share them in the comments. Your perspective could spark our next deep dive. And if you crave more investigations into hidden histories and lost mysteries, remember to join our subscriber community. Just hit that button and ring the notification bell. Ready to continue the hunt for lost desert cities? Check out my full video on the lost city of Ubar, and trust me, you won't want to miss what we uncovered there. Just click on the link or hit the end screen card and keep this quest for hidden empires rolling.